tonight, inside secrets from Apple. Plus, upgrade your notebook's hard drive. I swear it's fascinating. And don't settle for average, people. Customize your identity in XP with my Windows Tweak. Live from the TechTV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers!
Welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us on the Screensavers. We're the only place on television where you can be sure to get live product demos, interviews, tips and tricks, plus computer help.
And crocodile wrestling.
Yes.
Yes.
What? Today?
Later on. We'll show you. Plus, we have shows packed tonight. It's going to be amazing. We're going to learn some secrets about Apple. I'm going to help you upgrade your notebook hard drives. And Sarah, well, Sarah, tell us what you have.
A neat treat from the P-tip.
It's a neat treat. A lot of people know about this, but a lot of people still don't. How to change your little user icon in XP. Shows up in your start menu, shows up in your log-on screen.
Is that your user icon?
No.
No.
They're just
very cool.
Futzing around.
Oh, I know why, because today's Thursday. It's LAN Party Day. Time for the Screensavers LAN Party, powered by NVIDIA. Our resident gamer, Joshua Bertano, is over in the LAN Party. How's it going, Joshua?
It's going fine. We just started playing here, and it's, like we talked about yesterday, it's Unreal Tournament 2004, and it's really
great. Really
good.
Really love it.
It really is.
Yeah.
Instead of Deathmatch, we're playing the Onslaught version, which is where you go from point to point to try to capture the waypoints and then eventually destroy the enemy base. Today, in our LAN Party, we have a very special guest, actually. One of the World Quake champions, one of the very first, I would almost say, professional gamers, Dennis Fong, a.k.a. Thresh, down at the end. So, he's the guy to beat today. He's got a new chat client just for gamers that we're going to show a little bit later in the show. Next to him, Dan Allsfoo and Love and War Heward has our X-Facers fired up and ready to go. We have, and back again because Robert Heron just can't stop playing video games. One of our favorite lab rats is here in the game today. Be playing against me. That's it.
If there's any room in the game, because I was drive-by assaulted by one of our audience members who said I have to play in the LAN Party, so if there's any room in the game at some point. And by the way, I know everybody's excited. The Sopranos debuts on Sunday night. In our audience tonight, I'm so thrilled. Tony and Carmela Soprano here in the audience tonight, joining us for the show. Can you get it? Can you get a shot? There's Tony. Great to have you both. Both in the house.
Oh, you're going to be big in Jersey.
Let's. Did you see? You know, Tony's wearing a Scarface shirt with scenes from the classic Al Pacino movie. There it is. Pretty amazing, isn't it? It's got little guns for buttons.
Don't bring attention to people.
I'm sorry. Okay, I know people. I know. Witness protection program.
Right on to the tech news that caught our eye today. Sarah,
what's happening, Sarah?
All right, one of SCO's large financial backers was identified in an email leaked from the SCO group by an anonymous whistleblower. Ready for this? The backer, Microsoft. The amount, $86 million.
It's a lot of lawyers.
That's a lot of dollars. If the leaked email is genuine, it would confirm rumors that Microsoft has been funding SCO's anti-Linux crusade.
Now, we should say this was on Eric Raymond's page. Right. He claims it was leaked to him from somebody inside SCO, but there's no validation for it. I mean, we're just, taking their word for it.
Well, obviously, SCO's not going to go, well, yes, that is a genuine email, and we'd like to thank Microsoft for its more than generous contributions in our fight against the oppressive evil force, IBM.
Well, Eric did point out that, hey, I mean, this at least would give defense attorneys in the lawsuit something to look for. Maybe subpoena some documents, see if IBM can find that document.
And it's not something new. I mean, earlier, not too long ago, it was like the rumors was there had been a $10 million, $11 million, a $50 million investment in SCO by Microsoft.
$86 million.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
It makes sense. I mean, who benefits from this war on Linux? I won't say, but I'm just going to ask the question.
And you know why it really makes sense? If they gave SCO $1 billion, SCO could just, basically pay out all the shareholders and quit, right? They'd be done.
Right. Well,
86 is enough to keep them hungry.
We should underscore that there's no proof that this is actually an internal SCO memo. It sure sounded realistic to me.
But if anyone from Microsoft is watching and would like to tell us about whether or not this is true or false, we'd love to hear about it.
We'll give you a chance. Story 2.
Fun to keep the rumors alive.
It is. I love
it?
it. Yeah.
Love rumors. Okay, story 2, more SCO stories, actually. A U.S. federal judge has ordered IBM and SCO to produce their disputed code for the courts.
Finally.
Yes, sir. SCO has been given 45 days to submit the disputed code, which SCO claims IBM contributed to Linux and Unix. The court also ordered IBM to turn over complete releases of its software for deeper scrutiny.
This may be the end of it, right? Finally, if we get to see it, we can decide whether there's merit to this case or not.
Yeah, we've seen some speculative code from SCO that's been posted where they've said this is the proof, and people who are at like their developers gathering were like, this has been open source 3 times. So it'll be nice to see this actually resolved.
Is there any merit to this case? We'll find out. And it's a big deal for Linux users because SCO is now actually going after end users, suing people like Daimler Chrysler, saying, we want money, you're using our code in what you thought was an open source product. So we hope this is resolved soon. I think that's important. Finally.
And finally, there's a new development in the hard OCP versus Infinium saga. If you hadn't already been familiar with this, the spat started with a less than flattering article posted on hard OCP's site regarding Infinium's Phantom gaming console. Infinium had issued several demands to have that article taken down and has been threatening hard OCP with a lawsuit. Now, hard OCP is taking legal action of its own, which will force the matter into the courts, hopefully bring about a resolution.
I admire Kyle Bennett's stand on this. Infinium is the maker of this aptly named Phantom game console, and basically hard OCP said it's a scam, there's no such thing, they never intended to produce a game console, something like that. Infinium said, hey, take that down, that's defamatory, and Kyle said, okay, show us where we're wrong, and we'll correct it, and they never heard. They never came back and said, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. They just said, take it down, we don't like it. So Kyle, asserting his free speech right, says no.
And what's interesting is they finally got a response back from Infinium's lawyers, because Infinium was like, take this down or we're going to sue.
Or else,
right? So the odd thing, they've posted, if you go up to hardocp.com, you can find the information that was put to them. Again, Kyle says, the odd thing to me about the above letter is it continually refers to statements we never made and innuendos that are non-existent in our article. In fact, after reading the letter, I had to wonder if we were actually referencing the same document. So it's pretty serious, you know.
Infinium's a little touchy on this matter, and you got to wonder why.
Well, it was, the article pointed out that there just didn't look to be a whole lot of reality behind the claims for this one.
All right,
interesting stuff. We're going to watch that.
Leo, I got a question for you real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you forget to do your hair today?
Does it look a little mussy?
It looks like you might have just gotten up from a nap. Yeah.
No, I got the wrong wig on. I'm sorry. I'll go fix that. This is my nighttime.
You kidder.
My nighttime wig.
Tase the mink. Get the taser. Put that mink back down. Thank you, Sarah.
It's a little messy. I just noticed that myself.
Aren't you glad I pointed that out?
Now he's going to be crimping in the monitor for the next 5 minutes. Thank you, Sarah. Thomas joins us on the phone from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Thomas.
How's it going this evening?
Hey, it's going great. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I got a question about upgrading to Windows XP.
Yes.
You hear this stuff about the activation code and changing hardware and stuff in your computer. I use a IDE removable hard drive rack. And I have installed it a couple times a week to back up my files and stuff.
Good idea.
Is that going to affect the activation on this thing?
Is it in when you activate it, or is it out?
Well, I can put it in or take it out, whenever I need to. But
Windows XP isn't installed on the removable drive, is it?
No.
It shouldn't make a bit of difference at all.
They were saying 4 items four major items have to be changed.
Like your motherboard, your graphics card, your hard drive, and...
We should explain this, because this was a big deal when Windows XP came out, but I don't think we've talked about it lately.
So the idea is, as you install Windows XP and you get to a certain point, it basically does a survey of your system, generates this really bizarre number, and registers it along with your license number for that piece of software for Windows XP. Right?
It's to solve this problem that Microsoft's had, where somebody get one copy of Windows and install it on all their computers in the entire studio, home. So, and that would be a problem.
We have a site license.
Oh, okay. So this prevents that because it's tying a copy of Windows to a machine.
And the truth is the idea was they were more worried about, let's say, a company of 1,000 people buying 10 copies of XP and installing it on 1,000 PCs. Because one of the things that I was told early on was like, 2 or 3 PCs.
We don't care that much.
We're not going to really be paying attention.
All right.
So, and the truth is, but the flip side is somebody was like, well, if I upgrade my system, every 6 months, and a lot of people do, is it going to lock my system out? From what I've heard, there's been almost never heard of anybody who did enough, unless, without having to actually completely reinstall Windows XP.
I think we would have heard the howls.
Yeah.
What happens if it says 4 things have changed? It says, I'm sorry, I can't activate you. Please call Microsoft.
Right.
And then you talk to somebody and you say, honest, please, I just upgraded my motherboard. And they'll say, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah, they're more likely.
You think they'd come to us.
Yeah, well, if the thing is like, if you, let's say, I don't know, got a serial number off the web and you were the 4,000th person to try to register that, then they'd probably shut you down. Thomas, it sounds like you have absolutely nothing to worry about here.
Fear not.
Okay, man.
Okay.
How does that work for you as the removable drive as a backup? Does that work pretty well for you?
Oh, yeah, it works great.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
It's one of those cases where you put it in the thing and you pull it out, right?
Somebody should tell you about that and about mirroring.
Oh,
yeah,
shut up.
I make a clone of the...
I know you've told me about it. I'm just asking him how it works.
I'm being mean.
Yeah, I make a clone of the hard drive that's in there with it, and if something ever happens...
Great idea.
Just copy it back.
You're ready to go.
The new hard drive if
Very good
the
idea.
hard drive crashes.
Hey, thank you, Thomas. Good luck to you.
Smart, man.
Thank you, Leo.
Take
How about
care.
a book?
Sure, I got a book
Now
for
he's
you.
going to hold it up
Why don't you
on
ask
air.
for Yoshi's book or something like that? I don't think I have any books here. Hang on the line. We'll see if we can get you one.
Thank you. Autographed copy would be fine.
Oh, yes, sure. You want everybody to autograph it? All right.
You want that
Sure.
overnighted, Thomas?
No, not overnighted.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Thomas. Take care. The call screeners are instructed explicitly to say to every caller, do not ask Leo for a book. But no? Can we arrange that for future?
Don't go anywhere.
Still ahead, my friend Patrick here is going to help you upgrade your notebook's hard drive. And up next, how Apple got from this to this. We'll reveal some secrets from this amazing computer company when the Screensavers continue. Stay right here. Yeah. Glad he didn't see you. The story of the evolution of Apple is a fascinating one, but there are a lot of secrets about the Apple folks you may not know. Joining us now, the author of Apple Confidential 2.0, with some insider stories sure to surprise you, Owen Linsmeyer. Welcome back to the Screensavers.
Thank you very much.
Last time you were here was the first edition of this book, which
Yep.
was some years ago, yeah?
Over 4 years ago.
A lot's happened to Apple.
Sure has.
It all started with two guys, Jobs and Woz.
Well, that's the story. People think it's Jobs and Woz. There was actually a third founder involved in the company, a man by the name of Ron Wayne. Ron Wayne was brought in to be a tiebreaker between the two Steves. And for that, he got 10% of the company at the time when he was a 41-year-old man and Steve Jobs was a 21-year-old kid.
Right.
And after 2 weeks of Steve Jobs running around the valley getting $20,000 worth of parts on credit, it dawned on Ron Wayne that as a partnership, he was going to be financially liable for any of the debts incurred by any of the other partners. So he decided, I don't think I want this, and he sold his 10% share of Apple for $800 after 2 weeks.
How much would it have been worth?
If he had held on to it and knew exactly when to market time and sell at the top, it would have been worth over $500 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is Ron Wayne these days?
Ron Wayne is currently in the process of emigrating to New Zealand. He's
an embarrassment.
No, actually, as he says, and I believe him, this was the right thing to do, given the information at the time.
Sure.
They were working out of a garage. There were young kids.
I could see why he'd be scared. I mean, these guys didn't even wear shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, that might go down in history as one of the big goofs in financial history.
You might think,
Now, Apple actually is surprising sometimes. And some of the things I read in here, for instance, they made money on the Newton.
Well, in a manner of speaking.
Which one would not have thought.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the Newton message pad was this huge failure for Apple because they never really did anything but pioneer the personal digital assistant market.
Well, they did create the market.
They created the market, they just never capitalized on it.
Right.
However, one of the untold stories that's in the book is that in creating the product, they decided to buy a large portion of the company that made the chip inside the Newton, ARM Holding. And years later, they ended up selling their investment in ARM for over $800 million profit.
Wow.
When it's been estimated that Apple's probably sunk maybe something on the order of $500 million in the development of the Newton over its 11-year lifespan.
So they did all right.
So, and the money was sold, the money came into the company as they were selling it in dribs and drabs when Apple was going through its worst period in the late 1990s.
That was the Emilio Spindler era?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, those were terrible times.
Yes, but the Newton, remarkably enough, was able to help the company get by, not on its own, but based on this investment.
The Newton was not Jobs' creation, was it? It was,
no.
It was Scully's creation.
Primarily, it was created under the Scully regime at Apple. Yes.
I remember him saying this is going to be $1 trillion market.
Yeah, I think he said $3 trillion market. But
huge. But he wasn't that far. I mean, he was. It's still not a $3 trillion market.
He claims now that he was discussing the entire digital convergence market, including the internet, and if you include that, I'll grant him that he was probably right.
But PDAs turned out to be very much more important than anybody realized at the time.
Exactly, yeah. It just came at a time when Apple was struggling to find its focus, and it was trying to do PDAs, it was trying to get into telecommunications, it was trying to do the Mac as well. And
so it went through, you know, Scully forced Jobs out. Jobs had brought Scully in saying, you know, you don't want to sell sugar water. He was a Pepsi executive. You don't want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life. You want to make a difference? So he brought Scully in. Scully did okay, not great, but then followed by Spindler and Gil Amelio, who really thrashed the company. What went wrong?
Oh, there's so many points in the company's history. If you read the book, you'll find that, you know, you'll see that back in 1985, none other than Bill Gates at Microsoft wrote to Apple and said, hey, you got to license the Macintosh. So he came with them and told them, you know, this is what you need to do to set the Mac as a standard.
Right.
They ignored him. There was times when they could have jumped.
Had they done so, they might have been the Windows of today.
Yeah, because people forget Microsoft now is huge. Back when Microsoft was writing for the Mac in 1984, it was a large company, but it was much smaller than Apple was at that time.
Right. Apple really owned, kind of in a way, certainly they owned the GUI. The story is that Jobs stole that from Xerox PARC. Is that true?
No, not stole it. They got inspiration from Xerox PARC, the Xerox Alto.
Right.
They had visited Xerox PARC in November of 1979, and they got to see the Alto, and the Alto had some amazing new user interface things that they had never seen, the mouse, Ethernet, laser printing, all these things, overlapping windows. But they didn't get the plans to do that. They went back and they said, well, that's obviously the future of computing. Let's do that at Apple.
When you say they, who? Steve?
Steve Jobs, some of the other Lisa developers. And
how important is Steve Jobs to Apple? Because I noticed that he came back after Apple was just in terrible shape and turned that company around.
Yes.
Do you give him credit for that?
Clearly, yeah. He's critically important to the company. He was the salesman early on when Wozniak was the designer. He pushed the company further and further, you know, to follow its vision with style and coming out with innovative design. He was kicked out of the company in '85, and the company survived without him for a very long time.
It didn't do so good.
Well, yeah, obviously. And he came back, and I think single-handedly was the only person that could have saved the company at the time and did so. So to his credit, he definitely deserves applause for keeping the company alive.
What do you think were the key things that Steve did that turned it around for Apple?
He focused. Apple had been, as I said, trying to do too many things and not doing any of them well, and he decided, that's it, we're going to focus. We're going to get desktop units and portable units. We're going to do professional consumer versions of those, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do great products in the Mac space. They finally got out a new operating system, Mac OS X.
That's been great. Now that they got from his company Next.
Exactly. That to a lot of people credit or fault Gil Amelio and say he, you know, ruined the company. But the greatest thing, to his credit, was he bought Next. He wasn't afraid of the not invented here syndrome. He bought Next. As a result, Steve Jobs came back as an advisor, and within a year was running the company, and Amelio was out.
Is Steve still getting $1 a year from Apple?
Oh, it hardly matters. He's, you know, a billionaire from his investment in Pixar. So
there was some controversy because the board gave him his own jet airplane at one point.
Right, but he had been taking no salary, had no stock, and really had turned the company around.
He deserves whatever he gets.
Exactly.
Genius, you think? I mean, look at Pixar, great success. Although some, in fact, you read the book, he may not have had that much to do with it until.
And that may be why it was a success.
In fact,
you talk to some of the founders.
You tell the story that once he realized that Toy Story was going to be a hit, all of a sudden he's very active in the company.
Yeah, well, exactly. The company, he actually tried to sell it to Microsoft after pumping something like $50 million into Pixar over several years. He was ready to sell it, and he didn't share the vision of the founders of creating computer-animated feature-length films. When Microsoft didn't take it, he continued, and when it was Toy Story's premiere coming out and he realized, wow, this is going to be big, that's when he suddenly jumped on the bandwagon and said, yeah, I've seen that all along.
He made himself CEO. He had nothing to do with it up to then.
Right,
interesting.
exactly. But he did found it. He did have the vision to stick with it.
He put 50 million of his own bucks in it.
Exactly. That's a vote of confidence.
You know, whatever you say about Jobs, and he's certainly a piece of work and an interesting fella. He's definitely got the vision, and he's done a lot of good for
certainly
for both Apple users and for moviegoers. The book is Apple Confidential 2.0, the definitive history of the world's most colorful company. And that I'll give you. Man, what a wacky company it is. If you want to get a copy of his book, you can go to his website, owenink.com, OWENINK.com. There it is. And more links to Owen's work, of course, at the Screensavers.com. Don't get up. There's still more ahead. Dennis Thresh Fong is in our LAN party today. He has a cool gaming trick or two to show you up his sleeve. And up next, swap your old notebook hard drive with a new one without losing a lick of data when the Screensavers continue. Stay here.
Think about it, but when you buy a notebook, well, you probably don't think about it when you buy a notebook, but replacing the hard drive, it's gotten a lot easier as notebooks have gotten newer. Basically, we're going to show you a bunch of ways, though, to replace your notebook hard drive and talk about how you get your data from your old notebook hard drive to your new one.
Cool.
You're holding like a whopping 512 megabyte hard drive.
Oh, my gosh.
That looks like it's about a 14 millimeter drive, 15 millimeter drive.
They're smaller than this now.
They're a lot smaller than this now. Actually, if you take a look, like back in the day, this is an IBM, you had to take 9 screws out of the bottom of the case.
That's nuts.
And then you would lift
off
the plastic
nobody
cover.
Would ever want to do this.
Exactly. And actually, you know, and you look at this, and you've got down here, and you had 2 more screws down here. And once we got that out of there, don't yank, right? Because if you yank, and I should say never ever, until you know what you're pulling, never yank anything inside of a notebook, because most of your notebooks are connected by these little tiny ribbon cables.
Yeah, that's how I live my life.
And you know, it's good to know.
Anything until you know what you're pulling.
You know, that's why you haven't blown yourself up with a hand grenade. But one of the things you want to watch out, any kind of ribbon cable you want to be really careful with on the inside of the system. But you look at something here, right? A lot of the older hard drives are like this. They're like 12 millimeter hard drives. Almost all the new notebook hard drives sold today are 9.5 millimeter hard drives. So if you take a look at that, that's actually the medium size.
So that's a normal one, or are they even smaller?
This is actually, they're even smaller now.
Wow.
And one thing you want to watch out, if you've got an older notebook and you replace it, you need to get a spacer for the top of this, because if you don't, on some notebooks, it will actually rattle around inside of there. But if you take a look, we actually have a newer HP notebook here. I'm going to throw this off to the side.
You know, I opened my iBook, which was late model, and there was no way I was going to be able to get it back together again after taking out the hard drive.
Well, you got to be careful, right?
You have to be really careful.
You know, in this case, we've got a...
These are easier.
Yeah, most of the PC, exactly. Look, there's a little, either a door on the side or a hatch like this. You'll flip it over.
Oh, look at that.
And then basically you'll have the notebook will be inside of its own little tiny carrier case, right? And usually there's, you know, we've got a screw over here.
Did you remove a connector, or is that just how it came out?
Basically, most of them you undo one screw, the carrier slides out, and then to get the notebook.
It's got a snap-in connector.
Exactly, and then you might have to do 1 or 2 screws on the side of this. Well, it's people are starting to realize, and notebook hard drives in general, right? They're growing at an incredibly rapid pace, and a lot of notebooks that are only a couple years old are still running fine, have like a 4 gigabyte hard drive. Right. You know, and if you start carrying MP3s, that fills in really, really quickly. So one of the things you want to watch about those is when you're ordering a new notebook hard drive, there's a couple things you got to worry about. One is that thickness, right? If it's too thin, something like this, you basically want to make sure it's going to fit.
Get the same size as the existing one.
And if it doesn't have,
can you get the older? You probably can't get the 14 millimeter.
No, you can still get. There's really it was known around actually. There's basically Toshiba and Hitachi. Hitachi took over IBM's TravelStar business. They did a sort of a joint venture, and then Toshiba, I hate it when I miss that. There's the last one. There's always, you know, on all the IBMs I have, there's like 2 screws. This one, there's like 35. The Hitachi and IBM combined their hard drive business, so they have all the old TravelStar notebooks, and Toshiba is the other company that does most of the portable drives.
So most portable drives are Toshiba, Hitachi, or IBM?
Yeah, Fuji, and actually it's now Fuji, Hitachi, and Toshiba. But if you take a look at this, at the end of this, right, there's a little adapter there. And what's going to happen is almost always, if you slide this off, and I can hear Prager wincing in the control room.
Is this his computer?
I'm pretty sure this is his computer.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
So props to Prager. So you want to be careful, right? And that's the way, it looks like a regular hard drive, except along with your data pins in there, I don't know if you can see that, you also run your power through this.
Right.
So basically, you know, you want to save the adapter. The adapter is only going to go on and off one way, so don't worry too much about that. Now, one last thing you think about is figure out the maximum capacity your hard drive can handle. Don't buy an 80 gigabyte hard drive if your motherboard's only going to see 20 gigabytes.
How do you know that?
Well, that you're going to have to do a little research on.
Look at the manual?
Yeah, well, look at the manual or call the manufacturer. The thing you want to do, though, is before you start yanking all the drives out, you want to back up your information.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than yanking a hard drive and going,
whoops.
yeah, the Henderson report.
It's on there.
It's on here. Jimmy, get that out of the Legos bag. There's a couple of ways you can do it. For like the last 10 years, right, since 1992, I've been using external hard drives. First, SCSI external hard drives, and then later on USB external hard drives. FireWire is great now because they're really fast. And the nice thing about that, as I plug this into my system, I keep all my data generally on a separate data partition. Whenever I move to a new hard drive or a new notebook, I basically just grab the old one, I drag all the information off to the old hard drive, and upgrade to the new one. Now, if you want to get fancy, you can start using stuff like PC Relocator. I highly recommend, though, you reinstall the operating system and all your applications.
It's nice to start fresh.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. It saves your settings, but sometimes, you know, things just don't behave when you try to transfer them over this way. And one last thing to copy the hard drive information, the other way you can do it is instead of using an external hard drive, you can actually use a 2.5-inch hard drive adapter.
Oh, so you can just put it in your
right
PC,
there.
your
Put it in your PC to copy information over. We've got some links to some software, and we actually should hold up one last thing. It's really become common lately.
I love these.
Apricorn, actually, they give you an external USB, and they'll bundle it with a drive and some software, and you can actually use their software to back your information off to the old hard drive, basically off the old hard drive, write it onto the new hard drive, and then transfer it over. Some people have had mixed results with the software. I haven't used it. Most people know they're like, a bunch of stuff works, some of the stuff doesn't work, but we love the idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still, 5 years from now, I'm still going to be copying it off to an external hard drive and reinstalling.
I just buy a new laptop.
Well, you do that every 6 months.
That's right.
To a year. We got details on all the notebook hard drive upgrades we talked about at the Screensavers.com. You're driving America's economy.
I am, that's right. Keeping America employed. Let's toss it to Sarah for a quick tip.
Yes, it's an online tip. We know you all love Patrick. That's why we're looking at him. But you also like the dark tips, free downloads, crazy PC mods from my man Yoshi. The web team has generated a list of links to the most popular articles of January and February. Go to thescreensavers.com to find the list and start reading. Go ahead, I'll help you customize your XP user account with my beautiful pick or someone else's. And after the break, our LAN party is in full effect. We'll check in and see who's winning when the Screensavers continue.
Coming up, highlights from Photoshop World 2004 with Photoshop expert Bert Monroy.
Plus, we got some amazing network audio toys from your home PC to your stereo wirelessly.
And it's Yoshi's weirdest mod yet, a PC made out of cardboard. We finally get to see it.
Coming up today, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
On the Screensavers. What happened? You lose
the worst sound you can hear when you're working on a notebook is this little sound of a little tiny...
Somewhere, and on this floor, you'll never find it. I mean, it looks...
No, it'll turn up someday.
All right, well, good luck.
Will send out an email about leaving little tiny screws on the floor that get caught up in the camera wheels. Welcome back to the Screensavers.
Leo Laporte.
Patrick Norton. Coming up in this half hour, customize your XP user account with your own pictures of one of us, the Screensavers.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have...
it'll be a good picture.
Tony and Carmela on.
And our next caller is wondering,
What's
can
he
you
wondering?
record more to a DVD using lower quality source clips?
The answer might surprise you.
It depends whether, well, we'll tell you later.
Yeah, don't answer now.
It's Thursday once again. That means it's time to check in with our LAN partiers, Mr. Brentano. Why aren't you playing?
Well, we're going to get back and play in just a minute, but I've got a solution. I don't have the solution. Dennis Fong, our LAN party guest today, has the solution to one of the biggest problems when you're playing online games is it's hard to keep track of your friends that you meet and that you play with. You don't know what room they're in or even how to find their server.
Yeah, I mean, you just take like Counter-Strike, there's 30,000 game servers just in North America. It's like, you know, the chances of being on the same server as your friend is like next to nothing.
Right, or typing in the IP address and trying to get there real quick.
Right, or you can try to memorize a 15-digit IP address to get on the same server as your buddy.
And now we don't have to, thanks to you.
So we have a new solution called Xfire.
Okay.
It's an instant messenger designed for gamers.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a mix between ICQ, All-Seeing Eye, and Friendster, kind of all in one package.
Okay. Best of the best.
That's right. So you know, it looks like a standard instant messaging client. You see your buddies online. You see your friends that are not just you know, it has all the standard IM features. The difference is when your buddy is actually playing a game, a little game icon will show up next to their name.
So those two guys, Ice, and then I'm logged in there.
That's right. So you're logged in over in the computer over there playing on the LAN party. It shows Joshua TechTV playing Unreal Tournament. You can see the status. So as soon as you start playing a game, next to your buddy's name, his status will change to, you know, playing Unreal Tournament 2004.
So if I change to a different game, to Counter-Strike or Battlefield,
it'll automatically change for you, right?
Cool.
So if you actually just mouse over the guy's name, you could see all the standard server browser info, like you know, name of the server, your ping, number of players, etc. And you know, again, the #1 hassle for gamers today is to be able to, you know, trying to get a game with their buddies.
Right.
And so what Xfire does is it makes it literally 2 clicks away.
So if you wanted to connect to my game, what do you do?
So, you know, just say, you're my buddy, you're on there, I see you're playing, I want to join your game. All I have to do is double click your name and click join, and bam, I'm in there.
And that's it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the server's completely full right now.
All of our viewers out there.
But, you know, as an example, if I just double click your name, there's a password, it automatically launches the game for you, and then, you know, you're playing together.
Oh, great. So now you said there's also a Friendster portion, and I was playing around with that earlier. Let's show that, because it's got a lot of really neat features.
Sure, let me just quit out here.
What games you've been playing, how many hours you played those games?
Yeah, so you know, not everyone has like, you know, hundreds of gaming buddies. Maybe they only have 5 or 10 friends that play games. And so what we show you also within the client is your friends or friends who are playing. So just say you log on, you know, Friday night, you know, you feel like playing, but none of your buddies are on. If you actually look down here, it'll show you all your friends of friends who are actually playing. And if you mouse over,
Cap, he's pretty good.
So 3D, you know, these are some of the best, Call of Duty players in the world. You can see who your common friends are, and again, you double-click to join their game. You could also look up their profiles, kind of like Friendster. So just say I want to find out, you know, who 3D Brett is. Pulls up a little profile page, which is loading up right now.
There's too many people trying to get there.
Okay. I think it might be a firewall issue or something like that.
So back when you have the list of players there, go back over there for just a second.
Actually, I think the network just went down.
Well, that's a good reason for us to go back and play. Well, everybody go out and try this. I was playing with it earlier, and it's really nice because it shows all the games that I have and all the games that my friends have, and it kind of does a cross-check and shows what we have in common.
That's right. I mean, Xfire is there so you can see when your friends are playing, what games are playing, and actually it works for, you know, over, you know, close to 100 games now, and it actually works for EverQuest. You know, everything from, you know, Party Poker to EverQuest to Warcraft 3 to, you know, Call of Duty. We can support basically any PC game.
Great.
And basically you can join them with one click. And one additional feature is that, you know, standard IM clients, while you're playing a game, will crash if you actually receive a message while you're playing.
It kicks you out to the desktop.
Yeah, it kicks you out to the desktop. Well, you know, Xfire won't do that. You can actually receive messages without having a problem.
Well, let's get back over and play since we can't show Xfire anymore. It must be too popular, I guess.
Yeah, we'll do.
But back over here we have Dan, All's Fair in Love and War. Look, I messed it up. Thank you. And Robert Heron. I'm going to quit this silly name game. We're going to jump back in and play. You guys go do the show or something.
Or do
Leo.
something. Huh? There
Pay
we
attention.
are. Chris wants to know if he can record more to a DVD if he uses lower quality source clips. But up next, make Windows XP your very own. Sarah shares a nifty little trick. It's all coming up when the Screensavers continue.
Stay here. Look at this. Look at this. So Photoshop World's going on right now, right? And Robert out there, who was at Photoshop World, brought me this. This is a pen, but inside, a Photoshop shortcuts. Wait a minute. I have a proclamation from the king. Oh no, isn't that cool?
And you know, you missed him breakdancing during the
That was cool. Now I want to show you something else. Robert, who watches this show, was an illustrator and he did props and stuff. And he watched Burt Monroy, got excited about Photoshop, started learning Photoshop and Illustrator. He just won Best Digital Illustration at Photoshop World for this illustration.
That's an illustration?
That's an illustration. Good job, Robert. Congratulations. Now, see, you watch this show, you learn something. What happened? You broke it?
It's all your makeup and microphones.
My makeup? I don't wear makeup. Let's check in with the fine folks over at Tech Live to see what's coming up tonight I don't wear makeup, do I, Chris
Wait a
Leary?
second, hold on. You are a sissy who wears makeup? What are you saying? Good Lord, here I am thinking that, Leo, you're one of the most manly guys around, and you're wearing makeup? What are you wearing, a skirt, too? Oh, Patrick wears
No, that's Patrick.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Push a little harder, Chris.
I tell you what, both of you guys are probably two of the most beautiful guys I've ever seen, with or without makeup.
Don't forget virile and masculine.
I'll never forget that trip to beautiful Baltimore with you.
So,
that was fantastic.
Wasn't that fun?
What's coming up on Tech Live?
Wasn't wearing makeup then, was I, buddy?
No, you weren't.
No,
I wish we all
wasn't.
were. We should have been wearing Kiss makeup to disguise it.
I wish we had now.
Nothing. Hey, listen to this. I got some stuff coming up for you.
Yes,
Listen to this. Now, some food and drinks out there you just don't like, right? Now, I'm not saying this, but listen to this, man. There's some people out there who believe beer is bitter.
Bitter?
What are these people? Well, it's a New Jersey company who believes it actually has just the thing to block that bitter taste.
I'm
I
bitter,
don't know
but beer?
why. Yeah, we're going to find out more tonight on Tech Live. We'll get to the bottom of this bottle. Story. What did I say? Of course, you know it's coming up right after your show called The Screensavers.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
The lovely Chris Leary.
You guys are beautiful.
Tech Live, right after this show.
He'll never be bitter.
On behalf of the state of New Jersey, we'd like to apologize for the people trying to make beer taste like Kool-Aid. Sarah?
Exactly. That's called hops. They're bitter. They're supposed to be.
Leo, you've got some really
get out of my
interesting pictures in
do you
here.
look? What do
There's
you
a
got?
few of me.
Where
What
are
is this?
That's on the blog. It's on the Mo blog.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that a great picture? I love that picture.
It's kinda,
That's from the Playboy shoot you
it's
guys
Sarah's twins. It is not from the Playboy shoot. You're just starting rumors.
did. I
All
love
right.
doing that.
Moving right along. In XP, users have pictures associated with them. You know how it is. It's at your logon screen, and it's also in your start menu. I'll show you what I'm talking about if I just press start here. Hey, my name's Petite Tipper, and I've got this beautiful chess icon. You know it well. It's one of the defaults that comes with XP. It's very easy to change. I know a lot of people already know this, but a lot of people don't still. In fact, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they said, oh, I hate that stupid chess piece. Well, you can change it. If you just click on the picture itself, it'll show you a bunch of different default icons that XP will give you to change. You can use any of those. I used to like the cat, but then you can also browse for more pictures and choose your own. That's a way more fun. So let's say I want to browse, and I'll just go to my desktop. I'll choose one. There's a picture of one of my eyes, so you can see it here. I go, okay, yeah, that's fun. And now I'm Petite Tipper over here with my eye. Now that's fine and dandy, but it would be kind of nice to know where all these default icons are stored, right? Just what if you wanted to use them for something besides this particular thing in XP? What if you liked that chess piece and you wanted to save it somehow? Can't really do that with the choices that it gives you. I'll show you where it's located. In your C drive, Documents and Setting, you want to go to All Users, and then you want to go to Application Data Folder. It's a hidden one, so if you can't find it, unhide your hidden folders. Inside that, go to Microsoft Folder, and then User Account Pictures. And this is where all your stuff is. Obviously, in the default section, these are all your pictures, and now you have better access to them, right? What you can also do is any pictures of your choice, you know, the one that I just used, one of my eyes, and I've got one of Leo over here. I can just drag those in, and then when I go back in and find in my default picture section, there I am, there's Leo holding a cigar. So it's kind of fun. It's just an easier way. You have more control over your own customization. It's a good time. I've also added a bunch of screensaver user pictures to my article at thescreensavers.com. So if you want to go through all these steps again, just go there, and then you can choose your favorite screensaver and make it your own icon. I've got Leo, Patrick, myself, Kevin, Yoshi, a really weird one of Dan. I don't quite know what he's doing there. So, you know, it's time. And email me and tell me who you like the best.
Guess.
Actually, don't tell me.
Guess.
Leo.
No.
Yeah.
No. Petite Tipper.
You know, I have an edge now that I'm the only girl.
Are you the only girl? Wow.
Yeah, I think.
How did that happen? Did we chase them all away?
I think I am. Well, you know.
Well, you're the only one you know
about. It's like if
about.
anyone's looking for the girls, then it's automatically me. So
You're the one.
I got the edge.
You're the one.
Anyway,
You do
I'm
have
done.
the edge.
Go ahead. What's coming up?
Prager's a girl, but that we don't. No, we don't talk about that.
Coming up,
That's not funny.
we insult more of our coworkers, and we tell our net camera Chris if he can get more unrecordable DVDs using lower source clips. Right after these messages.
Something that's funny about that, isn't it?
Coming up next, Tech Live, only on Tech TV.
Be sure to catch tomorrow's show. It's going to be a good one. Photoshop World just ended. Bert Monroy will be here with the highlights. We got a few network audio toys to show off. Allow you to put your music from your computer on your stereo. Plus, Yoshi's back. He's going to show us the cardboard PC. Remember, he injured himself and couldn't show it to us, but now the cut is healed.
The full details.
And the box is back. That's all on tomorrow's show. Some interesting people in our audience today. 4 youngsters just came back from Net Corps. It's like Peace Corps for Geeks. They were in the Ukraine.
Cool.
And they were helping with IT in the Ukraine. There they are. The guy, get the guy in the white T-shirt too. Yeah, all right.
Is there a URL for that?
Is it netcorps.gov.org? Are they online? .ca? .org. They're Canadians, so that that's very cool. Thank you. We'll get the site up. Chris, meanwhile, on the TechTV NetCam Network from Sandy, Utah. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Patrick. Hello, Leo. How are you guys doing today?
We're great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Looks like Michael Moore, doesn't he?
There's a strong...
You must get that a lot.
Not yet. Usually Colonel Sanders.
Oh. That would be later in life, Colonel Sanders. So what can we do for you?
Well, what I've got is I've been taping a lot of shows off of television and restoring them as MPEG-1 on my hard drive.
Okay.
I've got about 80 gigs, and I want to burn them off to DVD. I can make VCDs out of them without a problem, but when I try to put them on a DVD, it wants to convert everything up at high bit rates when they're right now at low
That's because the DVD standard is MPEG-2.
Yeah.
So it has to reconvert it to MPEG-2. You cannot make an MPEG-1 DVD.
Yeah, DVD players, they see MPEG-1 on a DVD, they spit the thing back out.
They don't know what it is.
Don't know what to do with it.
So you can have a slower bit rate, but there are some specific settings that you have to have for a DVD as far as the bit rate, the window size, and some flexibility, but you can't get lower than the lowest.
Yeah, you could record the MPEG-1s and play them back on a computer. You could record the MPEG-1s and create a VCD, but you can't make a VCD DVD that'll play in your consumer electronics DVD player.
But stick with the VCD, because most consumer electronics DVD players will play VCD, or many will anyway, the late model ones will play VCDs.
Unfortunately, you get to carry around, let's see, 4.7 divided by 600.
Exactly, a lot more. I've got about 80 gigs worth of television shows. It'd be nice to archive them off to DVD if I could.
There you have it.
I mean, you could. You're just not going to be able to put that DVD into your DVD player. You'll be able to play it back on a computer, no problem.
I can get about 3 hours now, but not much more than that.
Yeah, I think that's probably about the max. Tsunami MPEG encoder, free program. I highly recommend. It'll help you compress it to the minimum that you can do. They have presets for DVDs, and you can actually say, I want to have the lowest quality possible DVD.
There's something you don't hear very often.
Well, it's a TV show,
Good luck,
ephemera, as we say. Thank you, Chris. Stay where you are. Coming up next, we're going to check our inbox, see what's on your mind, and when the Screensavers continue, stay right here.
See the show in person. If you're going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area and you'd like to join the Screensavers live on the set, go to www.techtv.com/ticketline for information and to request tickets. Go there so we can see you here.
Let's take a look at the high scores from each round of our LAN party.
Powered by NVIDIA! Fascinating.
Wow.
Okay, well, congratulations. There we go.
Hey, TSS Joshua back on the warpath. TSS Robert, 77.
Robert, look at that.
Wow. I sense a great, angry competition coming together. Terminator, the Unforgiven, Hittori, and the Great Destroyer. Fine efforts.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thresh for coming by to show his new stuff.
Where's Thresh on that chart?
This is not there.
Okay.
He will be.
Not going to say anything?
He's getting there.
You get to play this week, go straight to our website.
You didn't frag Thresh, did you, Foo?
I register for next Thursday.
What's that?
You didn't frag Thresh, did you?
No.
Okay.
I got him once.
Did
actually.
You? That's got to be good. That's bragging rights.
You know, Thresh is actually more of a hustler these days.
Oh,
double the bet later.
Come on, kids. Let's play a game. Sarah, any emails in there?
I do. This is a good question from Brad. Is there a difference in performance if you've got a 512 stick of RAM or two 256s?
That's a great question.
Any difference?
It depends on what kind of motherboard you have. Some motherboards want you to use 2 sticks of memory, like one in each of the dual
Then they interleave
slots.
them.
Yeah, and that makes
would
it
be
faster.
Yeah.
But in most cases, it's like notebook or something where you only have 2 slots.
Right.
You can't upgrade if you have both memory things. You have to throw out one of them and replace it if you upgrade your memory.
But if you look for RAM interleaving, if you do have interleaved RAM, it's like RAID. I mean, it'll actually speed up your RAM. Yeah.
It's a good thing. That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm off. I'm going to be doing Regis on Tuesday. I'll be back here on Friday. Thanks to our guests, Owen Linsmeyer, Dennis Thresh-Fong, and download his client at xfire.com. Robert Harrington, see you later. Have a great night.